Hey everyone, welcome to a playoff edition of the Bolt City Podcast. We kind of already did a show before the show started. A lot of hate. A lot of us woke up this morning and just decided to choose hate. Super Bowl.
It was
Go
led by
ahead.
you. No, it was led by you.
Dude, if you answer a question just somewhere in the norm of what the answer possibly could be, I wouldn't be so angry.
Then don't ask the question. If you know the answer, if you know we're in the ballpark of the answer, then don't ask the question.
All right, I'm gonna let the audience in on a little bit right here. Okay, I said which number Super Bowl is this to make sure I was accurate, and Mario goes 48. And I said, it's not 48. I was at Super Bowl 50 in 2016. So it's not 48. And then he yells at me for getting mad that I didn't like his answer. And then we start going back and forth. And then his next answer, what was your next one? 52? I'm like, how can it be 52 when I just told you I was at 50 in 2016?
Would like to add, Josh, didn't he add a little bit of a mark at the end of my
Oh, I cussed at you.
Yeah,
I definitely
I think he said some words you can't say on the podcast.
Yeah,
yes,
started with an A,
yes,
ended with an E. I apologize, though. I said I was sorry right away.
Yeah. Lost respect for you because you did.
It's all right. Get in line. What are you going to do? All right, so we know who's in the Super Bowl. That's why we're doing the show. We watched the games today. The games just ended. Last one, Detroit completely did what Detroit does. Good God. Fell apart, 17-point lead going into the half. They blow that lead in 8 minutes in the third quarter. San Francisco comes back. San Francisco wins. Final score 34-31. I think almost everybody across the country was rooting for Detroit because, hey, if you aren't a 49er fan, how do you not root for the underdog? What a story with Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and all the other guys that have come so far, going where the Lions have never been, and the Lions blow it. Completely blow it. And then you see the Lions fans, Josh, in the stands crying, and you're just looking at them going, why would you pay for plane tickets to go to that? Like that, number one, San Francisco fans are brutal. I have said it on this show. Out of 32 NFL teams, the 49er fans are the scariest. People don't believe it till you see it. They are violent. They will get in your face. Good luck getting to the car, wiping your tears. You won't even see the punches coming. It is crazy with those 49er fans. Why would you go to that game? Save your money and go to Vegas for the Super Bowl if you made it that far. Otherwise, it's going to be the worst trip home if you make it to the airport. Good luck to you, everybody.
Why are you so negative? Why don't you think they thought they had a chance to win the game? And if you watched that game, you thought the Lions were going to win, didn't you? Even though they never do. Didn't you think the Lions were going to win?
We listened to the show last week when I picked the Niners.
Dude, they were killing them at the beginning of the game. Everybody thought the Lions are going to win. You can't tell me you would have thought the 49ers are going to win that game.
I 100% did. I did.
So why do you bet on it? Why do you bet on it? You should have taken one of those halftime bets.
Gambling's illegal in California. Gambling's
people.
illegal in California.
Mario would have done it for you.
Yeah.
Would you have done it for me? That could have been Venmo. See, he wouldn't have been a team player and done it for me anyway. No, man. Here's the deal. We all know about Detroit. Mario has family in Detroit, so Detroit's one of the teams that we follow closely. Like of course, we follow the Chargers more than anything else. But Mario's in Chicago, Josh is in Tennessee. I mean, we know what the Titans, the Lions, the Bears are doing at all times because Mario's all this family in Detroit. We pay attention to these guys since the beginning of the year when Detroit beat Kansas City on week 1 on Thursday night. That we know that Lions roster pretty well. So when you look at Detroit, tell me if I'm wrong, Detroit is always known as like just a fantastic first quarter team. And then it continues to slow down as the game goes on. Am I right on that?
You're right. I always look at the Lions recently with Jared Goff, kind of like the Chargers. Really good quarterback, a team that just doesn't, accomplish much. Chargers, I think people feel that way about the Chargers for a long time, ever since they had Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers, an exciting team with talent. They're just not going to make it happen until now. But I think the Lions, honestly, I really did feel they're going to win that game. I love Dan Campbell. I think everybody does. I'm really disappointed they lost that game. I was rooting for Jared Goff, everything he dealt with the Rams. But I don't hate the 49ers. I do hate the Chiefs. And I know we're about to talk about that in a second, but I don't hate the 49ers.
Okay, I agree with you. Like, I don't hate the 49ers, but, like, they're not – sometimes I get bored of, like, watching them. Like, I do hate Kansas City, but the fun thing about Kansas City is, like, Kansas City does fun stuff. Like, Mahomes will do something really, really crazy. Oh, that was, like, something fun to watch. Brock Purdy just plays a very boring game. And Shanahan, like, has no problem making games very boring. And to the Detroit factor, you know how when the Chargers blew the lead to the Jaguars, right? When that happened, and people were surprised, but they weren't really surprised because that was a very Charger thing to do. I bet on the Jaguars money line at half because I could see this going AWOL. I feel like everyone thought that with Detroit. And once Detroit went up a lot, it's I would not be surprised if they blew this lead. I would just not be surprised by it. And they did. And, I think if you look at both games, we'll get into Chiefs Ravens later, but I think you really saw the difference between a Super Bowl team and not one, right? The Lions shot themselves in the foot, dropped balls, stupid penalties. Ravens shot themselves in the foot. Gets a big gang, Zay Flowers gets a penalty. They had penalties all over the field of, Kelsey gets in your face, you hit Kelsey, guess what? You're going to get a penalty. So I think it's a definition of what's Super Bowl team, what's not. But just a classic Lions loss that the whole family is really sad over in Detroit. So shout out to them.
Well, it's just a normal day then. I mean, you live in Detroit, you're pretty sad usually.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, there's not a lot to smile about in Detroit. Of course, you have the Pistons. Oh, yeah.
More fun parts.
Anyway, I don't know. It says they're taking the family to vacation in Detroit, but whatever. It is what it is. We'll say this. Looking at the coaching, okay? You look at Shanahan. He hasn't won a Super Bowl as head coach of the 49ers yet, right? The last time he was in the Super Bowl was in 2020, of course, against the Kansas City Chiefs. He loses that game 31-20. If you remember, the Chiefs had a crazy fourth quarter in that game. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter because the 49ers were leading going in the fourth 20-10, and the Chiefs went on a roll and outscored them 21-0. It's a veteran coach. You look at behavior of Andy Reid. You look at, as they say, the players take on the personality of their head coach. Dan Campbell, we all love him. I'm with Josh. I mean, how can you not root for a guy that sits there and puts his heart out there and coaches with his heart and the excitement? He had one of the craziest press conferences of all time about biting your kneecaps and then getting up and doing it again. And it was just it was so out of line. This guy's not going to make it 6 months. And sure enough, he's in the NFC Championship game. And you're cheering for him. The general manager has done a great job with that roster, especially what he did in the draft this year. When you get Gibbs and you get Laporta in the same draft is absolutely amazing. And then Jameson Williams the year before, who was injured going into his first season with the Lions, comes through with a big catch right there at the end of the game for the Lions. Let's be honest. The guy that killed the Lions more than anybody in this game, it's Josh Reynolds. He killed that team. Mm-hmm. Josh Reynolds on a huge fourth down, hit him right in the hands. Ball goes back to the 49ers. They score. Josh Reynolds on a huge third down. Ball hits him right in the hands. Drops the ball again. San Francisco has control of the game. Josh Reynolds killed the team. You want to point the finger. I mean, say whatever you want. You win as a team, you lose as a team. No, you lost as Josh Reynolds. He killed that team today. And I know a lot of people go, well, Josh Reynolds isn't a guy that they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about Goff. That Goff wasn't the quarterback, and Sean McVay was right the entire time making the trade for Stafford. That's going to be the criticism because quarterbacks always take the heat for it. In this game, Jared Goff shouldn't be the one that they ridicule. We'll get into Lamar Jackson in a second here. But as far as Goff goes, if you remember, and I'm not sure if I said it on there or not, so if I'm repeating myself, you just said that 3 days ago. Do you remember the Rams against the 49ers? They lose all the time. And it was McVay on a flight back from San Francisco to LA who said, Jared Goff can't beat the Niners. I can't win a Super Bowl with this kid. And that's when he decided that moment on that flight to say, I need to make a change. And so this was Goff's chance to go to San Francisco to prove McVay wrong. Also, he went to college just down the road, basically. He went to Cal. I mean, this is a chance as this kid comes home to prove a point. And he couldn't do it. And his team couldn't do it. But I'm not pointing the finger, guys, at Goff in this situation. Josh, you played the position. I know the quarterback takes, basically too many accolades, and at the same time, he also the quarterback takes too much heat when things go bad. I don't think this was Goff's fault for losing this game.
It's not Goff's fault. If you put up 31 points, you should win the game, right? Would you guys agree with that? You score 31 points, you should win the game. And you said it, Josh Reynolds hurt this team time and time again. Jared Goff, to me, has played above his head since he became the quarterback of the Lions. I didn't think he was terrible with the Rams, but I don't think anybody thought he was a top-tier quarterback. Would you guys say that Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback in the league, right? For sure. You'd say he's probably a top 10 quarterback. If you have a top 10 quarterback, you score 31 points on the road at the 49ers, you should win the game. What's the phrase? The quarterbacks get too much love when you win and they get too much hate when you lose. And Jared Goff falls in that category. You were talking about the Lions draft picks. Brian Branch, I think most people would say he's the
Oh, yeah.
second best defensive player on the team behind Aiden Hutchinson. He's a rookie as well out of Alabama. You got to draft well. You got to do well in free agency to be competitive. The Chargers with Quentin Johnson, I don't want to talk about Quentin Johnson too much because we've talked about him a lot, but you watch Zay Flowers, right? The big touchdown catch and the big fumble. He's involved in the game plan. You like for the Chargers to have draft picks that make an immediate impact. You've seen it all throughout the postseason, rookies that are making immediate impact. And I think when you have a top pick like the Chargers have coming up, and they did last year, Quentin Johnson taking a receiver, you cannot miss. There's no team that's in the playoffs that continuously misses on their draft picks, except when you have big-time quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Justin Herbert's great, but he's not in that category yet. You need to surround these guys with top players, just like the Lions have done with Laporta and Branch, Hutchinson. They haven't missed on their draft picks.
Yeah, and I do feel bad for Goff because I think he's, like you said, he's going to take so much heat for this and so much blame. But I don't think he's going to get as much blame as I think Dan Campbell's going to get, right, for his fourth down choices that he made of, repeatedly not taking the points. I saw a lot of people on Twitter today calling him the upgraded Staley. How, he really is, just an upgraded version. I don't know if I agree with that 110%, but I see where people are going with it. Yeah, and I think if you look at every single team of the Final Four that are left, you saw teams that are well drafted and teams that took advantage of the draft spots that they were in. Like the Lions, you saw Laporta, you saw Jameson Williams, you saw Gibbs, all these guys, these young guys, Branch, all play phenomenal throughout this playoff run, throughout the year. And then you look at the Niners. Wow, you got Purdy that late, and you go, wow, Kittle's an at-home product. Like Debo's an at-home product. Like these are all guys that you're able to take advantage of the moments that you have. Trey Lance will ignore. And then, you look at the Ravens with everything they got with Kyle Hamilton and Zay Flowers. Then even the Chiefs, if you look at it and go, well, your secondary that you have was pretty much built through the draft. So it's also pretty impressive. So, yeah, the Chargers definitely have an opportunity to learn of their blueprint and learn of what they needed to do in order to get better for next year. I will say, Dave, I'm wondering if this was the Lions' only shot in a way. And I'm saying this because they're losing a coordinator next year. And what we've seen from every head coach is that when you lose a coordinator, it is really hard to replace them. Really, really freaking hard.
You know what? Unless you're the Rams, right? I mean, the Rams have lost coordinators. The San Francisco 49ers have lost coordinators, right? Unless you have a coach that says, we'll just find the next guy. You look at Philadelphia, it definitely hurt Philadelphia this year. I mean, losing coordinators, it hurts. I'm curious to see what Detroit does because we spoke about this. I think a month ago, I asked the question, everyone lost their mind. Would you rather lose in the AFC or NFC championship game or lose in the Super Bowl? It can be so devastating to lose on a huge stage. I want to see how the Lions bounce back. I mean, the Lions, what you tell yourself is we outperformed everyone's expectations. Nobody picked the Lions before the season to be in the NFC championship game. So you still say we're going up the ladder. There's room for us to continue to get better and take those next two steps for us to win our first Super Bowl. That's how I would sell it if I was Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has no problem motivating players. He's going to be fine on that. But I'm curious to know where guys go. So if you guys are fine with that, I'd like to jump to the early game, the Chiefs-Ravens game. So when you talk about,
sweetheart.
Okay, well, the sweetheart's going to jump to the early game because it really frustrated me. I didn't talk to either one of you until the show right now. A lot of times Josh and I will talk during games, but what bothers me is when there's a team game and they don't play as a team. And the Ravens the entire season had played so well and they were so dominating. I mean, ridiculous how good the Ravens were. Like you don't see that at the NFL level very often. You'll see it with the 85 Bears and you'll see it with like the 2001 Ravens, or maybe I'm wrong on that number, but you know what I'm talking about, the one that beat the Giants in the Super Bowl. You very rarely do you see a team that can dominate. The Ravens have dominated. They dominated the Niners on Christmas Day. And you're going, wow, the Super Bowl is not going to be much of a matchup. Looks like a cakewalk for the Ravens. Sorry about this cough. So when I'm watching the Ravens today, what bothered me the most is everyone out the door was like, hey, forget the team. This is about me. And I don't say everybody, but a big majority of the players were about me. And when I said earlier about the personality of the head coach, John Harbaugh is not a bad head coach. He's won a lot. He won a Super Bowl. But, man, he had zero control of his team. I mean, good gracious. Andy Reid, his guys weren't doing that. You know, a matter of fact, he took off the one guy off the roster today that was maybe a loose cannon. That was Kadarius Toney, who went nuts on social media that he wasn't playing. But Andy Reid, man, had complete control of that game today all the way through. And yet the Ravens, Zay Flowers, was a Zay Flowers show. Hey, no matter what happens, I'm going to put on a show. Odell Beckham Jr., how come you aren't getting me the ball more? Throwing fits. You look at the offensive linemen getting into fights and stupid holding penalties. And you look at defensive players picking fights with Travis Kelce. And man, the mind games that the Chiefs played with the Ravens was an example of a mature team that's ready to win compared to a team that's hot through the entire season that it flips a light switch flips in their head and go, forget the team. It's about me and future endorsements and whatever else I get. The world's going to know my name when this game is over, and it didn't pay off. They lost the team atmosphere today, and I hate watching that in any sport. But man, if I'm a Ravens fan, if I'm John Harbaugh, I'm fuming that my team fell apart because they played as individuals for the first time all season.
If we're going to talk about which team has more talent, you'd have to say it's the Ravens. You watch this
By
Ravens
far.
team all year. Yeah, by far. The Chargers had the privilege of playing all 4 teams left in the conference championships. Lucky us, right? We got to play all those teams. I mean, you guys can tell me what you think. I think the Ravens were the best team that I saw this year when they played these teams. They just looked like the most complete team, from the kicker, the quarterback, the lines. I mean, everything about the Ravens has been solid. They kicked the crap out of the 49ers a few weeks ago. And then for them to beat themselves was shocking, because I would say John Harbaugh is probably a top 5 coach in the NFL.
Yes.
I love the way he coaches, just like his brother. And they played unlike the Ravens. I would say the Ravens have been the most steady franchise of the last 20 years of being consistently good. And for them to do that, it was surprising. I mean, the whole thing with Justin Tucker and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes before the game was awesome. It was leading up to be a great game, and I felt like the Ravens players just got in their own heads and they made it more about themselves than the team, like Dave said.
I think the Ravens always carry themselves with an edge, right? Like they have that edge, and they're the hard hitting, they're that tough team that you hate playing against, and they're really good at getting to that line but not stepping over the line. The Chiefs got them to punt that line into the next dimension. Like that's what the Chiefs made them do. And they were in their heads from the start. And, I thought going to this game, it would be the opposite. I thought the Ravens would be in their heads, especially at home in Baltimore, where all we heard about was just how crazy the environment is going to be. And yet the Chiefs walked in, they won. And like you said, Josh, I think no doubt they were the best team out of the 4 left. Like, no doubt. And throughout the year, everyone said that. Like, this is the most complete team. And then now you sit here and you go, well, then how the hell did you lose to a Chiefs team where we all can, again, say this is not of the Super Bowl teams of the Chiefs have had. This is not the most talented team. This is not even close to being the best team. I will also say, Dave, were you surprised at all as the Chicago PD decides that we need to go save someone right now? By how little the Ravens just abandoned the run. Like that was the key to win, and they just went away from it. And it was sending me throughout the roof because I had a lot of tickets on a lot of Russian props. That really kicked me in the nuts.
Yeah, it made 0 sense. Nothing made sense. I couldn't figure out what the Ravens were doing. They got away from everything that made them successful. Everything. And how do you blow that opportunity? You have 3 hours to make it work. You're almost there. You have the number 1 seed. You're supposed to win those games. AFC championship games played on your home field. You're supposed to win those games. That was ridiculous. And I'll tell you what, Mario, I was waiting for you to bring it up. We're about 19 minutes into the show already, and I know you're dying to say it. Everything Mario has said about Lamar Jackson came true today. Lamar Jackson was terrible. Terrible. Straight out terrible, to the point of, hey, if the votes are already in for MVP, we got to revote. It was that bad of a game for Lamar Jackson. He completed 5 passes in the first half. 5 passes, 5 of 12 for 67 yards. Ridiculous. The touch on his ball was insane on how bad he was. I mean, guys who are 10 yards away from him overthrowing him. Crazy. Guys sitting by themselves, but yet instead of throwing to a guy who's standing right in front of us that we can all see on TV, right in front of his eyes, throwing him the ball, he's taking sacks. I don't know what happened to Lamar Jackson today. Maybe he had a little bit of the Zay Flowers problem too. I can't tell you. But, man, that was disappointing. And I would tell you what, one thing we called for last week that we didn't see today that seemed like the mismatch is, how do you not have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely on the field like the majority of the game just to throw off what Casey does? How many defenses are prepared for a double tight end set of two guys that can do the exact same thing on both sides? You tell me Kyle Shanahan wouldn't have figured that out? Getting Mark Andrews back was supposed to be a Christmas present. Complete waste. Complete waste of space.
Man, it sucks. I love Lamar Jackson. I hate the Chiefs. I was rooting big time for the Ravens to win this game. I'm now a Harbaugh. We're part of the family now, right? We root
Of
for
course,
the Harbaughs.
yes.
That's our thing now.
Yes.
That's we adopted
Is it
that.
better
That's
than
our
us?
thing.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Change my last name.
But Lamar Jackson has not been the same player in the playoffs for the most part. He had a great game against the Ravens or Texans, with 4 touchdowns. But for the most part, he hasn't been great in the playoffs. One of my favorite games of all time is when the Chargers beat Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. It was one of the greatest things of all time when Phillip Rivers runs for that first down and he looks back and forth and then he points. I lost my mind. He beat Lamar Jackson in that game. Lamar Jackson hasn't been great in the playoffs. And I just hope that a great player like him never wins in the playoffs because he's in the same conference as Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I don't root for any of these guys. I like Lamar Jackson as a person. He seems cool. But I hope his struggles continue because I never want any of these guys to be anything. Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to say he's entering the GOAT conversation because he's not yet. But, dude, how can you bet against this guy in anything? He's going to get there. He's going to get to the conference championship, and he's probably going to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know why anybody would place their bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. As soon as like the game ended, I remember like sitting there, and the first thing I kept telling myself is like, why did you ever think someone was going to beat Patrick Mahomes? Like, why did you ever think that? And with the Lamar Jackson thing too, you kind of hit it, Josh. Like, with how talented the AFC is, and every QB is just, I mean, they're not Mahomes, and they're not going to have these multiple chances at a Super Bowl. Like, this could have been Lamar's only shot. Like, this really could be. Like, if, in 10 years we go, Lamar doesn't win another playoff game or doesn't reach the AFC Championship ever again. I don't think that's, like, something crazy to say because of the Bengals, because of the Bills, because of us. Like, there's a lot of factors. CJ Stroud on the come up. Like, there's a lot of factors that could lead into, yeah, he has one shot. Drew Brees only had one shot. Philip Rivers, a one AFC Championship game? Like, this very much could be his only chance at the King. And he completely missed. Like, not even close. Wide left. And it was all the way to the right, buddy. Like, I don't think it's a, far thing off to say, like, this was his moment and he missed it. And with the Mahomes thing, like, I think he is the GOAT. Like, I don't even think he has to get to the Super Bowls of Brady. Like, I don't think that matters. Dude, what he's doing now, he's going to get 5. Like, he's going to get 5. I put my life on it that he gets 5.
Man, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm speechless when it comes to Patrick Mahomes too. I mean, he's so good. I mean, that stat that came up that Patrick Mahomes has as many wins as Peyton Manning does, and Peyton Manning played 17 years, and Patrick Mahomes has played 7. I mean, just it's like, what the hell's happening? And you lose Tyreek Hill, and there's always something that goes off his team. I mean, he loses Eric Bieniemy, whatever that means. It does not miss a beat. It just, that guy is so good. It's amazing that he wasn't great in college. I mean, he had a losing record in college. Comes to the NFL, admitted he couldn't read a defense. I mean, even after his first year, he goes, I'm going to be even better. Someone's going to teach me how to read a defense. Like, he was just literally playing backyard football saying, I'm just looking for the open man. Like, he had no idea what was going to happen before the play, like most quarterbacks do by the coverage they're showing to begin with. He was just going with his eyes and his athletic ability. The guy's a freak. Man, I hate his guts. I mean, it really bothers me that he's as good as he is because he plays on a team I root against every single game. I don't think I've ever rooted for Patrick Mahomes to ever win a game. Think about it. At any point in your life, have you rooted for the Chiefs? No. I've never rooted for the Chiefs at any point. And so
last Super Bowl, I bet a lot of money on him. Hand up.
Okay. Yeah, you had money on it. But overall, man, he's really good, and I agree with you guys. And you're talking to a guy who's seen them all, man. I mean, I've seen all the Super Bowl guys basically outside of, Bart Starr. I've seen almost everybody's highlights and what they could do. I thought Joe Montana was as good as anybody I've ever seen as far as just being a winner. And Tom Brady in person is even better than he is on TV because he had a cannon for an arm, and I don't think that shows a lot of times on TV. But a lot of them are just dump offs. But Patrick Mahomes is just insane. You tip your hat to him all day long and how good he is. And here he is, man, one of the biggest games. He always steps up.
What do you think about Jim Harbaugh being at the game and what he said? For anybody that didn't see it, Jim Harbaugh talked about how giddy he was to be the coach of Justin Herbert, which to me was awesome. Like that literally put a smile on my face to hear a coach act like a middle school girl, like she's in love with somebody, like has a huge crush on Justin Herbert. It made me so happy that he feels that way about the quarterback. He's also the quirkiest guy I've ever seen in my life. The way he talks about players, you don't see coaches do that, and I love it. He literally loves to be Derwin James' coach, Keenan Allen's coach, Justin Herbert's coach. Did you guys feel the same way when you heard about I don't even know what word to use, how excited he is to be the coach of the Chargers?
Go ahead,
It-
Mar. I'll let you go. I got a big opinion on this. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was amped up about it. And I loved one, it felt just very like honest. Like I remember listening to even like the question they asked, like, was it emotional leaving Michigan? And like I thought he was gonna go into a whole monologue of like, Michigan was the place to be. And he literally goes, "There's no Lombardi trophy in college football." Like I was like, oh, so he's just it's what it is. This guy's just in on it. All right. Like I love that. I was like, all right, like this guy's very honest. Like you can tell in that moment he's ready to go right now for that title. Like he's ready to go now. Like he's ready for the 2024 season to start this very second and to go. Like he's itching. And to me, Dave, that speaks volumes to me. And that speaks of, all right, a new era is coming. And the new era is kicking down the door to get in. You have to put cement and everything you can to make sure that door doesn't come down because it's going to be a bull coming through there.
It was awesome. So he did a couple things. He did mind games first, which is what this Charger team needs. I mean, let's be honest. This Charger team did not play up to where they thought they were supposed to be, where the fans thought they were going to be, even the players. I mean, as much as we all love Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert, guy's a losing record. What is he, like 31-35 or 31-36 in his career? I mean,
Yeah.
we all think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, yet the wins losses don't exactly show it. What he did was he gave confidence to every single guy when he dropped their name. And whatever he does in person, face to face, or on the phone with these guys, he's giving them confidence. He wants these guys to believe in themselves. As Jim Harbaugh would say, I guarantee it. How can I believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? And he's given that confidence back. Derwin James, you are a great player, and you're going to come here and you're going to be the great player I know you are, and then player you are. Let's forget about 2023. Keenan Allen, I need you to stay around, be the player you are, the leader you are. I'm going to take you to heights you've never seen before. You got to buy into the system. Justin Herbert, when he's doing the whole deal, how he's a rock star and I was giddy, man, he's given Justin Herbert confidence. He's doing it to every single guy to believe in themselves. All those guys wish, guess what, OTAs were tomorrow. After you get a phone call from Jim Harbaugh and saying this is what it's going to be, kind of like we said about Dan Campbell. The difference of Jim Harbaugh and Dan Campbell, Jim Harbaugh has the resume. He's been to 3 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. He's won a national championship at the highest level in college, and he even won a small one. This guy wins everywhere he goes. His family wins. He knows this game. He knows players. Guess what? He wore that same uniform with a bolt on it that the Charger players are wearing. I mean, how many guys do that? Belichick never wore a Patriots uniform. He knows what it's like to be a player. He knows what it's like when your body starts to break down. He knows what it's like as to how practice schedules go. But, man, he gave those guys confidence when he did that. The one that I love the most out of all those guys that he spoke to, didn't speak to, Joey Bosa's name wasn't mentioned.
I knew you were going to say that.
You're damn right I was going to say it.
I
was
so
waiting for
knew
it.
that was coming. I so knew that was coming. I was go off, King.
No, well, that's my point. And it has nothing to do with he's an Ohio State guy. BS, man. He could be wearing any uniform. It doesn't matter to Jim. Jim wants to win. It's obvious Jim wants to win. He threw Michigan out the door. He just won a championship 3 weeks ago. He's just like, that was in the past. There's no Lombardi trophy over there. Hell, he even chucked his first wife away. It doesn't matter. Jim's always looking forward. I love Jim. Jim's a great guy. Okay? He's going to help us win. That's why he's a great guy. And as I told my neighbor 2 hours ago, he goes, what do you think? They're still going to stink. Chargers will figure out a way to mess this up. And I go, don't bet on it. Chargers will be in the Super Bowl, I say, guys, within 3 years. Chargers are going to figure this out. Justin Herbert's going to go down as a Hall of Famer. I'm telling you, Jim Harbaugh is going to figure this out with this quarterback that he's never had a talented quarterback like Justin Herbert, and he's gone really, really far. They're going to be fine.
That right there, what you just said, that right there, he's coached great everywhere he's been, right? Michigan, Stanford, USD, 49ers, we've said this already, never has had a quarterback like Justin Herbert, ever. The fact that you compare him with a great quarterback in Justin Herbert who knows what can happen. And I listen to other podcasts and all these other people talk about Jim Harbaugh to see if we're crazy because we think, like Dave said, the Chargers are going to be a real threat to win the Super Bowl. They agree with us. They say you get Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, the Chargers are immediate threat now. Right now, Chargers are immediate threat. And it's just great to hear. I always felt that the Chargers weren't at the big boy table because they didn't have a head coach. If you don't have a real head coach, you really don't have a chance, in my opinion. The
Sure.
fact that we actually have a head coach, I'm with Dave. I wish OTAs were tomorrow. I'm so freaking excited. And the fact that he saw his brother lose to the Chiefs in person, it made me think of The Godfather. He's going to avenge his father's death, right? But it's his brother. He's going to avenge his death next season. He's going to beat the crap out of the Chiefs. I thought it was great that Jim Harbaugh is so excited to be Justin Herbert's coach. And like Mario said, it's the Lombardi Trophy. College is great, but it's not the Lombardi Trophy. And that's my real goal, is to win the Super Bowl. I'm so excited for this season, man. I'm so pumped up that Jim Harbaugh is the coach. And I want to give kudos also to Dean Spanos and the Spanos family, because we've talked a lot about them on this show and how, they've been cheap when it comes to coaches. Kudos. You guys made the big decision to empty your pockets and get the coach to give you guys a chance. You have this brand new facility. You guys are investing money into the team, and you made the huge decision to step down. If you're John Spanos, to step down and then have Jim Harbaugh come in. I give you guys so much credit for finally giving us fans a chance.
100%. And, all the credit in the world for doing that. All the credit in the world for going out and get the top guy on the market. And, you went and got him. And nothing but brighter things. And I think that's the other fun thing is it's so good as a fan and so good when you have a team and every time your team's brought up, it's positivity around it, right? Like, it's like this past year was anytime you wanted anything Chargers, it was, but Staley. Like, remember Staley. Like, remember he's a fart. And you're like, God, yeah, I am. I gotta remember that. Like, he's an idiot on the sideline. But now it's like, no, we got Harbaugh. Like, watch out for them next year. You already have people already excited to take futures on for next year. I even talked to someone off air today. They're like, yeah, like maybe next year is like the Herbert MVP year. Like, having that hype, and it's not someone in the back going, well, be cautious. It's like, actually, yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. Like, this really, really could happen. It's a great feeling. It's a great direction. And I think I love about Harbaugh is like that Lombardi thing. Like, it's every coach, every new GM has the thing. I'm going to use Ryan Paul's example. He's like, we're going to take the North and never give it back. They all had that cheesy line, right? Like, you need that in a press conference, that fire up. Dan Campbell had to bite the kneecaps. But I think the difference between the Dan Campbell guys and the Harbaugh guys is that, Dave, like when they say that stuff, like it's authentic. It's not like your classic thing where, you're Notre Dame, you go slap the play like a champion today on the wall, and then you go get your ass beat by Bama. It's like, no, we actually mean what we're doing. It's authentic, and what we're saying, it's authentic in our message and the culture that we're trying to build. And I think that's what sets these guys apart. And I'm happy we have someone like that in our building now.
I was thinking about it yesterday, just going looking at these other teams because there's so many coaching openings, but even the teams that fell short, whether it's Philadelphia or the Dallas Cowboys, of what they thought they were going to do. It is your job as an organization to upgrade it at every position, right? Whether it's quarterback, running back, and head coach. So the fact that Jim Harbaugh was there, and I know we aren't crazy because, again, he's won 70% of his games in the NFL as a coach. That just doesn't happen. In the NFL, it does not happen. I mean, the NFL schedule is designed for everyone to either go 9-8 or 8-9. And the way the draft's set up, and it's supposed to be turnover quick, and your teams to be competitive very quickly, you can fix it. I mean, the Niners fixed it when John Lynch stepped in and they had 2 wins, and all of a sudden they're making runs for the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions fixed it. If you have the right guys in place, you should be able to fix it. So when you say, hey, our team fell short, the fact that the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles didn't even request an interview with Jim Harbaugh is bizarre. They let their fan base down. So as Josh just thanked the Spanos family for, hey, giving us Charger fans a chance, the Dallas Cowboys should have done the same thing. The Philadelphia Eagles should have done the same thing. Almost every team in the NFL should have done the same thing, if at least bring him in. It's not just some guy that was good in college. This guy was great in the pros. How do you not sit there and say, make it better? Because I think most of us believe, I'm one of them, I don't think Nick Sirianni's the guy. I don't think Mike McCarthy's the guy. You're going to have another seasons or other seasons down the line that were very much like the ones you just saw in 2023. And that's your owner's fault for not knowing, hey, you know what? I got to step aside and I say, what is best for this franchise? And right now, those two guys aren't best for the franchise. The fact the Chargers got the number 1 coach, and it's not even close, of the guys that were available, man, it goes leaps and bounds. It's almost, I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'll say it's almost bigger than having the first overall pick in the draft. You know, by bringing Harbaugh in is bigger than having the first overall pick in the 2024 draft. What would you rather have, Josh?
The coach. We've talked about
Rather have the
about
coach,
it before. The coach controls every game, all the players. One player controls only that one player. And if it's even the quarterback, it's only the offense. Jim Harbaugh is going to control the whole team on and off the field. I'd rather take the coach. What's more surprising to you, Mario, that Bill Belichick got one interview with the Falcons and no other teams, or Kellen Moore gets brought in as the OC of the Eagles?
So it's interesting you saying this because I was talking to an Eagles fan this morning about like Kellen Moore and everything. And the first thing I said was get ready for a run on first down about every single freaking game. So just get ready for that one. It's gonna be really fun. It's right through the A gap. But I think the thing that surprised me most, I think it was the Belichick just getting the one interview and the one interview being the Falcons. Like that really fascinated me, like in so many different areas, just because it's this guy in the market and there's so many teams in this win now window, and that there was no aggressive move made. Like there was no like ballsy move. That shocked me, Dave. It really did. Like it shocked me that the Cowboys, it shocked me that Jerry Jones didn't do it for it, but then I remember that Jason Garrett was over there for like 8 years and I never understood why. It shocked me that the Buffalo Bills didn't go, Sean McDermott, thank you for getting us close, but we need someone else to take us over the top. He's kind of like Tom Crean over there in the NFL a little bit.
Tom Crean was his brother-in-law. It's Jim Harbaugh's brother-in-law.
Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he took IU basketball to like close to the top, and then Syracuse ran a 2-3 zone. And he didn't even see that one coming. But that's what I mean. Like, I didn't see. Like, I'm surprised in a way. Like the New York Jets maybe didn't even go for it. Like, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Jets are a
like,
great
there's
call.
so many teams. Yeah. Like even the freaking. I'll throw the Bears in there too. Like, I'm surprised they didn't even like try for that. Like, there's so many teams that didn't, and now we have Bill that's not going to be on a sideline next year. It's pretty shocking.
What's great is the Raiders 100% were going after him, but then all of a sudden the players and fan base went nuts for Antonio Pierce. The whole talk was going to be Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders. That was it over and over again. And then they didn't get an interview, which is great because it really wasn't a perfect situation for Jim because he didn't have Justin Herbert. This is a perfect combination of exactly what Jim was probably looking for. Number one, he gets back to California where the weather is great and you can explain to your wife while we're moving. And then the other point is, you have Justin Herbert, and you're going, hey, we have this. I'm looking at the Chiefs, and Mahomes will still be there. How much longer will Andy Reid coach? Don't know. There's a lot of talk that Andy Reid's going to retire when Travis Kelce retires, which could be either after this season, they win the Super Bowl, or the year after. There's more and more talk heating up that Kelce's like, dude, I've been doing this a long time. I will point this out again because it's amazing that Kelce and Gronkowski are the same age. I mean, that he's been around. He's taken a lot of hits, man. He came up big today. But he's been around. What else do you keep playing for? Like, if you win again, you're going, like, that's 3 Super Bowl championships. I got a ton of money, and I'm dating the most famous girl in the world. What am I doing? Why do I keep putting myself through this? But, man, it is funny the way it worked out with these coaches. And I think the storylines go, the Chargers all of a sudden are a team people are talking about on the morning shows. They aren't just one of those teams that's in the league, like the Cardinals, like the Titans, those teams that people don't even ever pay attention to. The Chargers now are on the front page, and all of a sudden they're relevant, which is exciting for us because we haven't been in that situation. As good as LaDainian Tomlinson was that year when he won MVP, the Chargers still weren't spoken about the way they should have. They never got the respect they deserved. I think the two biggest stories in this offseason coming up will be how far along are the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, and also the story that's gaining more and more steam is that the Eagles are looking to trade Jalen Hurts because there's an out in this contract that if they trade him this year, they don't take it. They don't take a beating, and he has a no trade coming up. So the Eagles have to decide in the next month or so, is Jalen really our guy? Now, I thought there's no way Jalen's going anywhere, but this is a story that's not going away. Could Jalen Hurts be the guy that takes the heat for Philadelphia falling short?
Jalen might do himself in with his relationship with A.J. Brown. That really might end up hurting Jalen a lot because A.J. Brown is a cancer in that locker room, and anybody that knows Jalen and A.J. Brown, he goes back to high school. Those guys have been good friends since high school. They've been good friends when A.J. Brown was at Ole Miss and Jalen was at Bama, and they've always been like best friends. So I think Jalen attaching himself to A.J. Brown could eventually do him in. Kellen Moore being the offensive coordinator for Jalen or whoever the quarterback is of the Eagles, I think is a weird move because Kellen Moore, to me, showed that he's not a great offense coordinator this year. His creativity was not what we expected. We hyped this guy up all offseason, and he didn't do much. I mean, that's even more surprising to me than Brandon Staley getting an interview with the Packers to be their defensive coordinator. That's how surprising it is to me. The fact also that the Packers are going to interview the guy that Jordan Love just diced up makes zero sense. Like, why would you interview him? It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't get why teams do that. Like, you're going to interview the coach that you just annihilated? Kellen Moore, I don't know. Maybe it was like a middle finger to the Cowboys because he used to be over there. But even the Cowboys fans are sick of Kellen Moore. When we got him, they said, good luck. Just kind of like Mario said, good luck on running it on first down. These coaching hires are always strange to me. And I think the Raiders thing too, with their hands tied behind their back because they had to hire Antonio Pierce, I think it could be a good and a bad thing. I think Antonio Pierce is right for that team. Those players obviously want him, but maybe you could have had a better coach like Jim Harbaugh. So I don't know. I really don't feel bad for any of these other teams. I'm just focused on the Chargers, and the Chargers should be the pick for Hard Knocks. I mean, how do you not pick the Chargers for Hard Knocks? You have this whole team that's starting this somewhat of a rebuild, I'd say. I'm calling it a rebuild because we're getting a new coach. It's not that we're starting over from scratch, but the fact that we have a coach and we have a chance. So I think the Chargers would be the perfect team for Hard Knocks, and I'm just so excited for next season. And if the Chiefs do win the Super Bowl, Mario, I think it's more likely that Travis Kelce retires sooner.
I agree with that. I think if he wins the Super Bowl, I gotta hang it up, man. Like, this has been fun, but how many more times and he broke every record now. You know, he broke Jerry Rice's record. So you leave with the record, you leave with your third Super Bowl. It's okay to just call it quits. And you know, I think now more than ever, he has such a strong career path outside of football that's gonna look really, really appetizing for him to leave. The Kellen Moore thing too. If Dan Quinn stays with the Cowboys, like doesn't get the head coaching job in Seattle, good luck, Eagles fans, because Dan Quinn also just tortured Kellen Moore when the Chargers played the Cowboys. I mean, he tortured him. And with the Staley thing too, Packers. Look, I hope the Packers GM's listening, and I want you to listen, buddy. Hire Brandon Staley. You need it. You need it for the NFC. You need it to win the NFC North, buddy. You need it. You need it more than anything. That's what you need, my guy. Get him in there. Get him in there. All right. They're going to be successful with Brandon Staley. And shout out to the Dolphins for also interviewing Brandon Staley because, you know, they didn't put up like 1,000 yards on Brandon Staley in week 1. Like, that was really smart. So, that shout out to him. Safe travels, Brandon Staley. Please be on the Packers.
Good chance he stays in LA. He could go to the Rams.
That makes more sense, though. Like, he's safe with McVay. McVay can, you know, throw him a treat and help him out a little bit. Also, I think the Eagles, if they trade Hurts away, they're officially hammered and have been drinking the wrong juice and need to be put in timeout because that is just the biggest meltdown and freak out temper tantrum I've ever seen.
All right. If you were the Chicago Bears, would you trade the number 1 pick for Hurts?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see the Eagles pulling that deal. You just got a partner right there. I can see the Eagles pulling that deal. You got a quarterback who's not going to make a lot of money. You got a huge roster. Contracts are going to be due with the Eagles. Have a lot of veterans. And if you can get a quarterback that's making the minimum, you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? You could see Philadelphia going that direction. That'd be very interesting. By the way, Jalen looks like he could play in Chicago, no problem. Bill Belichick, want to touch on it real quick because we touched on it real quick. You guys had a chance to talk about it. I almost feel bad for him. Like, he has done everything and more than any coach in history. He's just, about 20 wins away from passing Don Shula with the most wins, but he has the most important wins and that Super Bowl trophies. The fact that he did 2 interviews with the Falcons and didn't get hired is embarrassing as hell. Like, why would Arthur Blank do that to him? You know, like you're an old man, he's an old man. Isn't it an old man code? Like, was that just because you lost you were up 28-3 and you lost the Super Bowl that we're going to embarrass you on the way out? That was crazy to me that Belichick is left here and can't get that record, that Don Shula record, because it doesn't look like he's going to get hired anywhere. He's not going to sit out a year and come back at 73, right? I mean, how does that possibly work?
Oh, he will.
And then what?
He will come back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, Bill Belichick would have been a better coach for a team that's ready to make a run with the Eagles than Sirianni. But yet, you know, Bill Belichick would have been better for the Cowboys, would have been better for most teams. I mean, this guy has all these trophies. he has 6 as a head coach, 2 as an assistant with the Giants, and no one gave him a serious chance for a job. It kind of, if I was Bill Belichick, you've seen Wedding Crashers. Remember Bradley Cooper's just begging that one more last chance, and he goes through this whole thing, and then he goes, "I stick with my daughter," and he goes, "You don't know Wes." That's Bill Belichick walking out the door to Arthur Blank. You don't know Wes.
Are you more surprised though that Rabel's cannot have a job? Like I'm more surprised that Rabel's gonna have a job in 2024. Like that guy deserves it, Josh.
I'm not sure he doesn't end up with one of these. Honestly, I think what are there 2 left? Am I right? The Commanders and Seahawks,
Titans.
Well, no, Titans
Titans
hired the
hired
OC
Callahan.
from the Bengals.
Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot about that.
So my thing is, if I was Seattle, I definitely wouldn't hire Dan Quinn. Why would I go a younger version of the guy just fired, and Pete Carroll? I would bring in a Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel will be perfect for the Seahawks, and he'd be perfect for the Commanders too. I think Mike Vrabel, would be perfect in a lot of situations. The Bill Belichick thing, and I hate patting myself on the back. I love patting myself on the back. We said it. Bill Belichick.
Who doesn't? That's a good point. Who does not love pat themselves on the back?
People love to claim, like, I don't want to do this. You want to do it. I love to do it. You love to do it. Bill Belichick, we talked about on the show. People feel like he wants too much control and he's not that great without Tom Brady. And we got called crazy in the comments on YouTube. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because all the other owners in the NFL feel the same way that are hiring a coach. He's not that great without Tom Brady. And for Arthur Blank to do what he did to Bill Belichick, that's awesome. That's called revenge in some degree. Yeah. Like Dave making it like, what there's a senior citizen code or whatever he just called it. You would do the same thing. That's your type of personality. You would do that to somebody.
I am that guy.
I don't feel bad for Bill Belichick at all. I really don't. And I think he's going to end up getting a coaching job somewhere else to pass the record.
Dude, no offense. How did the Saints keep Dennis Allen over Bill Belichick? Like what?
Mario just said it with Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott, that's the most obvious one right there. Like if Sean McDermott cannot get you over the hump, like that's the most obvious. Can't you get you over the hump coach in the NFL right now? How do you not pair Josh Allen with Bill Belichick? And he's a Northeast guy. Bill Belichick only does things in the Northeast.
Yeah. And Belichick beat McDermott throwing the ball 2 times in one game. Remember that?
Literally.
That was crazy. And yet it worked. Yeah, if you're a Bills fan, you're like, I want Belichick.
They're called the Bills.
It's fair.
Perfect.
It's right there.
Fit. You're right. It's right there.
It's also like Sean, like how many your message has to be getting old. You know, your message is getting old, man. Like
Brad's talking about Al Qaeda to fire up his team. That's not getting old.
Yeah, you're running out of subjects to talk about. Like Brad Stevens talking about that the Celtics. Harbaugh even mentioned that in his thing. He's like, yeah, it's tough to keep doing your hoorah speech when you hit the cream of the crop. McDermott hasn't hit it, and when you haven't hit it, and you keep doing a different version of your rah-rah speech, it's not really a rah-rah anymore. It's just sad. It's like I think he himself needs like a fresh start. It doesn't make any sense. But Bill, it's just I don't know, dude. Have a strawberry daiquiri, relax. Come on, Bolt City. Meet me in Florida. I'll be there in July.
All right. When are we back this week? We back on Thursday? Going Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursday?
Mario.
Thursday.
What did you say? Thursday. We'll go Thursday.
Yeah,
no Super Bowl next weekend. Super Bowl's 2 weeks from today. Should be extremely exciting. I'm not so sure, guys, we're doing a Super Bowl show, but we'll talk about that as well because I have a feeling Mario enjoys the Super Bowl a little bit.
I do.
Be okay to do a Super Bowl show? Yeah, I figured.
Like
that guy.
Editing's going to be loosey-goosey. So, make sure you guys keep it clean or it's going to go out.
Okay. And at the same time, let's get it together. How in the hell is the Super Bowl not on Saturday night? I mean, everybody gets trashed, and then you're supposed to show up to work the next day? Please. Just move it to Saturday night. Make it a big Saturday night event. What are we doing here? Come on.
Oh, dude, I already have, the cocktail I'm going to have. I already got the food that I want. It's about me that day. It's about no one damn else. Yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty pumped.
How do we do on our bets, by the way? I know I picked the Chiefs and I picked the 49ers, so I went 1-1. I don't remember what you guys had.
I went Chiefs too, so I think I went 1-1.
Did you?
I think I went 1-1 too.
Did you go 1-1? Okay.
Maybe. Or no, maybe I picked Detroit because I don't know, dude. It's memories.
One of you went 0 and
Bigger
2.
bag
I
of napkin.
guarantee it.
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll,
we were
I'll
all.
just
Yeah, probably me.
I think you picked Detroit too, Josh. I think you
No,
picked
no,
Baltimore and Detroit. No?
no,
Okay.
I didn't. I picked the 49. I don't
All
know.
right.
Can I ask a quick question to the fans and to you guys as well? Because I'm having a little bit of a life issue. It's
Okay.
becoming really big. So gear up for life lessons.
Is this another that you forgot the windows open when it's 1 degree outside?
No, but it does have something to do with the window open. So I'm a big, trying to be on the good health kick. So I'm cooking a lot. So the apartment always smells. So it always smells like steak and chicken because that's what I'm like cooking. Dude, but I don't know how to get the smell out. So like when I leave the apartment, I'm smelling like the chicken I cooked, which smells good. So I don't want my clothes smelling like chicken. I don't want my I don't want my everything I wear to smell like food. So that's my problem right now. It's a big dilemma, dude. I looked up that you're supposed to keep out baking soda while you're cooking. That's supposed to mask it. Yeah, that's bull crap. That didn't work. I got things in the walls. I got that too. I keep my window open. I fart. Like it's staying in there. So, trying to do something. Got a little Febreze. So pulling out all the works, but we're still falling short. So food for thought.
Josh, it reminds me of that scene in Austin Powers. You get off the elevator and you're like, what the hell are they cooking? You're that guy. What the hell's that guy cooking? I don't know. I don't tell you, man.
know.
Light a candle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Blow the candle out when you leave the apartment or go to sleep. Don't burn yourself out.
So just light a candle.
I don't know. Tell you, dude. Look, I'm gonna tell you this though. Yeah, look, just be careful. No one in your community will pay attention to a siren if your apartment's on fire. There are a million sirens that go by every 3 seconds in your neighborhood. No one's
Dude,
gonna even notice.
The sirens tonight, by the way. For people that don't know, though, behind the action, I was muting myself every 2 minutes. I don't know what the hell's going on tonight, but there's been so much sirens going on. Like it's actually insane. Like I think there's something bad's happening here. Like I don't know. Call Batman, but and ask him how do you get the smell out? Because dude, it's I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's a big dilemma right now in my life of trying to get my apartment not to constantly smell like food.
All right, I'm gonna give you a product when we get off there. I'm not gonna say it on here because I'm not getting no free plugs. Right? We aren't doing that.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a product though that
Okay.
should take the smell out. Okay, promise you. All right, so we're going to be back this week, probably on Thursday. We'll be back with a new show. We'll see if we have some more breaking news, but we're down to 2 teams. Again, Super Bowl this year, it's going to be the Chiefs 49ers, same Super Bowl matchup you saw in 2020. But we'll be back on Thursday, and we'll talk more Charger football with you and get an idea. Hopefully we have more Jim Harbaugh stories because no reason to be following his brother around anymore, which is fantastic. For Joey, though, not the case. We'll be following his brother around for the next 2 weeks, so good for him. So for Mario Heron, Josh Pele, I'm Dave Pele. Again, thanks for listening on the Odyssey app. If you watch on YouTube, leave comments. We appreciate those and look forward to reading them. So again, thanks so much for the support. We'll see you later on this week.